Hello and welcome to your weekly dose of music news here on France 24. I'm Marjorie Hash and today's guest stems from Malmö in Sweden but has been based here in Paris since the early 2000s. He's known for making delicate pop and has just released his fifth studio album, Memories from Saint-Forget, which is full of sublime folk rock tracks as well as delightful chord and piano arrangements that will beam you up to the stars. Oh, okay, hello, thank you very much, Peter.
Hello.
Poehl, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So what's really exciting about this album is one that's purely written throughout the pandemic and lockdown one, where you kind of, like a lot of Parisians who could, went to the outskirts, the far outskirts of Paris, to nature, to live through this, once in 100-year event. Can you tell us a little bit more about the experience?
Yes, I was very lucky to be able to spend that period outside Paris in the village of Saint-Forget, just south of Paris, where we winded up a bit by accident, by pure luck, I'd say, and there in the garden there was a garden shed that I was able to set up my studio that I had brought with me with a rented van, and in the garden that's why I recorded the good part, the album for the most part.
Because you were supposed to actually initially be in China working on a musical comedy, but this was like completely different. So it's like back to basis. The album is called Memories from Saint-Forget. Now that if you're not from France and you read it, you're going to read it as Memories from Saint Forget. How should we really pronounce it?
Well, the name of the village is in reality Saint-Forget, but obviously I couldn't help myself but to play with do a little pun with the title and play with the words, Memories from Saint-Forget or Memories from Saint Forget.
It's very perfect, because we can't forget that time, I suppose, as well.
No, it will definitely rest. It will stay. It will stay with me at least. I think for everyone, it's as you said, it's a once in a lifetime episode, and I hope we're not going to forget it in every sense of the term.
Okay, well, how about we check out your latest music video?
If I could slip into your shoes and see a world shooting like a rocket, you got me in your pocket, little star.
And it looks like you had a lot of fun making your music videos, and it's very star themed, and even the little clip you were watching at the start of the show, in which features your son playing in it. There's a lot of space exploration, which I think globally across the world is a very good theme that's very of the moment as well. We've even got here a French astronaut, Thomas Pesquet, floating up as we speak. After this year of confinement and curfews, was space the ideal place to escape to, according to you?
Well, I hope we're not going to be obliged to escape to space, all of us. In reality, the theme for the video it actually comes from my son. He's 9 years old and a huge astrophysics fan and quite knowledgeable in the domain. And the title Behind the Eight Ball also comes from his talents in billiard, where he generally beats out his father in pool playing.
So keeping you on your toes and inspiring you, that's cool. And going back to the composition of your album, you said that it was very on the DIY side, and it kind of reminded you to writing your first album, which came out 15 years ago.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, it's true, because in my garden shed I obviously didn't have access to other musicians and was sort of limited in terms of instruments for obvious reasons, and it does. In terms of production method, my first record I recorded it out in Berlin, where I was living at the time. I had my sort of home studio in a small apartment, and I did a lot of that stuff, like patching things together, drum parts, and I winded up doing that again. And I think maybe it's also the question of the. It's 15 years ago that album came out, but there are definitely connections between the two.
Mm-hmm. And I think also for lots of the lovely arrangements, you relied on recording sessions with other musicians that were at distance.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of musicians across the world over the last 18 months have done that. We had Mogwai an interview a few months ago who had Atticus in LA and a chord orchestra in Eastern Europe, and that's how they used that. What was do you think that's, once the pandemic's over, something we're gonna see more of?
It was kind of the first time that I worked like that. I'm usually sort of how should I put it? I have a very, natural approach to music, recording, very traditional recording in the same room with other musicians, a sort of organic approach to things, and finding, Sweden wasn't under national lockdown, so I was able to carry out recordings out there, and there was something which the surprise of receiving the takes, the choices that they made out there had quite an influence on the songs in the end, arrangements that I had done on my end. I realized when I received what they had done out there, they didn't work together. So I was, scrapping things that I recorded on my end, and it was kind of, I think it fitted quite well into how I also see music, kind of that things happen by chance a lot, and so it's definitely something I will continue working on.
Yeah, so it gives open the world to possibilities, I imagine.
Yes.
Talking of possibilities, you've got quite a few tour dates here in France coming up, starting this week.
Yes.
How does it feel for you as an artist to be able to go back and share and exchange with an audience again?
It's wonderful. I can't wait. It's to me, music. There's the old notion of does music exist unless somebody hears it? I believe not. Music does not exist unless it only works in when you share it. If nobody's listening, it doesn't exist. I'm so happy to be back.
Well, it's exciting. Well, the first one is this week at Palaiseau Seine Buissonnière, and you've also got Paris at the Swedish Institute on the 21st, and quite a number. You've got a Festival des Nuits Carrées, Festival Les Pluies de Juillet, and Avignon at the end of July. So we'll put those little dates up on the France 24 website for people to check out. How about we have a look at some other music news, and we're going to head to the wonderful world of an artist that we like a lot. She is a world-renowned artist from Benin, and her name is Angelique Kidjo, and she's known for blending new sounds with old ones. Now, she's releasing her 14th studio album, Mother Nature, which can be seen as a rallying call for Pan-Africanism and tackles topics like climate change. It features fantastic virtual collaborations with the likes of Salif Keita, Burna Boy, and also Francis M or Mathieu Chédid, to name but a few. Here's the title track featuring Sting.
Mother Nature has a way of warning us. A time bomb set on a lost countdown. Do you hear it? Will you stop it? Won't you listen?
Over to French chanteuse and French darling Clara Luciani, who may remind you of a certain Françoise Hardy, at least in her sense of style. Now, after a busy year that saw her getting more acquainted with Scotland, she's just released a pop-packed new album called Cœur, which many predict here will feature France's tube de l'été, or summer hit. In any case, here's her new single. Let us know what you think via the France 24 Facebook, Instagram and Twitter pages. Is this a hit?
Elle veut pas s'asseoir, c'est trop près. L'immobilité forcée, ce soir la vie va recommencer. Il faut que ça bouge, il faut que ça tremble, il faut que ça transpire encore. Dans le bordel des bars le soir, débraillé dans le noir. Il faudra réapprendre à boire, il faudra respirer encore. Il faut que ça bouge, il faut que ça tremble, il faut que ça transpire encore. Dans le bordel des bars le soir, débraillé dans le noir.
some French pop here. And Peter, you've been living in France for quite a number of years. How much has French music trickled into your sound? Because you actually initially came to France through collaborations with a number of French artists.
It has definitely trickled down. As with all the collaborations I've had the chance to carry out over the years, if it's be in the domain of chanson or cinema or contemporary dance, I always, it gives me another couple of bits and pieces to my musical toolbox.
Mm-hmm. From Bertrand Burgala, who you worked with extensively, to Clara Luciani, what do you think this is the hit of the summer here in France?
Sounds like a hit. Sounds like a hit to me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. The Peter van Poehl's Memories from Saint-Forget is available in all good record stores and, of course, to purchase online. And don't forget to head to the France 24 website for all the dates, concert dates. We're going to have just enough time to enjoy a little bit of music before the France 24 news bulletin comes up, and we're going to play out with New Zealand artist Lorde, who has just released her first track in since 2017. And like Clara Luciani, there's a lot of dancing and it's very uplifting. Apparently it was inspired by Primal Scream's 90s hit Loaded. Let's check it out.
Come on and let the bliss begin. Blink 3 times when you feel it kicking in. That